Hello and welcome back to Memories of a Musician. We have another great show for you this evening. And tonight we feature a really talented young lady, Judi Figel. Judi is known probably mostly in the Pennsylvania tri-state area as a vocalist. She's a terrific vocalist. However, she's really a great pianist. And at the very beginning of my teaching career, I met Judi, and she was a senior in high school. And I'll never forget, because remember, I'm just fresh out of college, and I had a really close friend that was a piano major and played a lot of Chopin, and I loved Chopin. And here, it was their spring concert, and I believe choral concert. I think Judi was in the chorus. And anyhow, I don't know if band or orchestra was involved, but it was definitely Judi performed that evening on our the Steinway grand piano in our auditorium at West Mifflin North High School. She played a Chopin, I think it was the Polonaise in A major, Opus 40, number 1, known as the military Polonaise, and just absolutely stunned me because she was so good. And of course, she went on to Oberlin Conservatory as a piano major, vocal minor, I think. But anyhow, that's when I first met Judi Figel and was impressed with her from day one, for sure. So in 1981, I wrote a song. Now, I wrote a song, and when I say I wrote a song, usually a song infers that there are lyrics. There were no lyrics. It was just a melody. And the song was I called it The Florence Affair, because my wife, Lana, she and I had gotten married in 1973. So now this is 1981. And The Florence Affair was named that because Lana, her maiden name is Benedetti. So she is Tuscan, and her mother and father, they were from a town very close to Florence called Pistoia. Pistoia is about 20 minutes from Florence. So anyways, that's how the title came about for this particular song, The Florence Affair. Wrote it in 1981. So several years later, I'm living in South Park, and I didn't move to South Park till 1988, and this was a couple years after that, so it was probably like around 1990 or early 90s. A neighbor that I had there in South Park, Rob Vitelbo, listened to the song. He loved the song. He said, "Vito, you should have lyrics to this." I said, "Go ahead, Rob, you write the lyrics, and we'll use it." So he did. He wrote lyrics, and at the same time, I was producing an album for a very good friend, John Bigante. John Bigante is from Italy, and we're doing an Italian album called Champagne, and Champagne in English, of course. And John was the head waiter at D'Imperio's restaurant in Monroeville for many, many years. And of course, this is how I met him, because I played the accordion there for many, many years. And, once we got to know each other, we started doing a few songs here and there together. And then I eventually brought him in and had him sing with the group a little. And then I started, and I did 2 albums with John. And the first one was Champagne. And on that album, I said, let's record The Florence Affair, as Rob wrote the lyrics. Now, the way he wrote them, it turns out that it was a perfect duet rather than just a solo song. So I reached out to Judi Figel, and I said, "Judi, would you be interested in singing on this album and singing this song with John Bigante?" She said, "Sure." So Judi came out to the studio. We recorded. We had, basic tracks down and all the instruments that were recording. Then we brought John in, and then I brought Judi in, and then we recorded her. And so I like to play for you. It's not that long, but I'd like to play this song, The Florence Affair, for you. And let me know what you think about this.
At first I thought that it was just a dream. Then I awoke and found you next to me. As I held you in my arms that year, the summer we fell in love.
Along the beach as we walked hand in hand, and when the clear blue water touched the sand, as I looked into your eyes that year, the summer we fell in love.
Now the summer breeze seems so long ago. Beaches covered with winter snow. Time goes on and on. We look back upon the time, the year, the summer we fell in love. The sun is falling on another day, as we embrace and dance the night away. And I promise you I'll always stay, the summer we fell in love.
Now close your weary eyes and rest, my dear. The stars and moon will slowly disappear. Like the morning sun you'll find me here, the summer we fell in love.
Now the summer breeze seems so long ago. Beaches covered with winter snow. Time goes on and on. We look back upon the time, the year, the summer we fell in love. At first I thought that it was just a dream. Then I awoke and found you next to me. As I held you in my arms that year, the summer we fell in. The summer we fell in. The summer we fell in love.
And there you have The Florence Affair with lyrics. And of course, I recorded that song on a couple different albums as an instrumental. And this version is only on the John Briganti's Champagne album. And beautiful. It turned out really nice. And so before I bring Judi on, there's a couple things. I want to read her bio, but Judi has a little quote that I really, really liked. And she has kind of, it's part of a promo piece. It says, Judi Figel, singer and pianist. It says, this is quote, I strive to be a song stylist in my singing. In other words, I try to color the notes and phrases as if brushstrokes on a blank canvas, conveying the story or the emotion of the lyrics and music. And then signed Judi, end quote. So that's kind of, that's a very, very nice statement that Judi makes. And to give you a little bit of background, I'm going to read a little bit of a bio of Judi. Judi Figel is a dynamic singer and great pianist who performs a wide variety of musical styles. Her repertoire includes pop, jazz, country, light rock, Broadway, and standards. Her fun-loving personality, along with strong vocals, will captivate an audience to provide high-quality entertainment. Judi can easily perform as a solo singer, pianist, and then transition to fronting an 18-piece big band. She has been a soloist for wedding ceremonies in and around the Pittsburgh area since 1980 and had performed for many years at private venues with the dance band Starfire. She now continues to perform with her Judi Figel duo/trio in countless public venues in the Pittsburgh area. She has been a featured vocalist with the Trinity Jazz Orchestra Big Band. She performed at the Pittsburgh Three Rivers Regatta, the Byham Theater, and has done pre-shows for Bobby Vinton, John Fogerty, John Cougar Mellencamp, Earth, Wind and Fire, Chicago, Steely Dan, all at the Post-Gazette Pavilion and the Chevrolet Amphitheater. She has recorded as a vocalist on several local artists' albums and has done several commercial spots. Judi is currently in production on a solo CD project. Judi is originally from the West Mifflin area and currently resides in Monroeville. She earned a Bachelor of Music degree from Oberlin College as a piano major, voice minor, specializing in music education, and holds a Master of Music Education from Duquesne University. She has also done postgraduate study in string teaching at Ohio State University, Villanova University, and Berklee College of Music. Judi is a lifetime member of Phi Kappa Lambda, National Music Honor Society. Judi is a retired music instructor of 32 years, spending the majority of her career in the Plum Borough School District. In addition, she has appeared as a piano accompanist at several choral festivals in Pennsylvania for PMEA, WCMEA, and others. In spring 2010, Judi made her debut as a guest choral conductor for the PMEA Elementary Songfest, which was held in Johnsonburg, PA. Having flip-flopped careers with music teaching, Judi now sings professionally at public venues and private events in the greater Pittsburgh area and beyond. So, ladies and gentlemen, with that, please welcome Miss Judi Figel. There she is. Hi, Judi.
So, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
It's great to see you. From so many miles away. Technology is amazing, is it not? That we can speak to each other in person like this. It's great.
It is. It's awesome.
Thanks for having me here.
Well, you're quite welcome, and it's a pleasure and an honor to have you, Judi.
Thank you.
You've had a great career, and I think it's a nice opportunity for you to share your journey and how you got started and went through the whole process and where you got to where you got. Huh? That's what it's about. Share some stories.
Yeah.
So, you and I, and also with my wife Lana, we have a lot of personal connections that go back a long way.
Right.
You want to tell me about some of those?
Sure. After I started thinking about how much our lives have intertwined, from day one, especially early on, because, as we got into our careers more, you were traveling, I was teaching, and we weren't really in touch as much. But that first, 5-10 years, first of all, you and Lana, I attribute to getting me started in performing outside of my main job. It was sort of like the little bands on the weekend. You kind of helped me get a band put together. Initially, helped me to show me how to do a contract, how to get business cards, just the whole shebang. So I really attribute both of you for helping me to do that. And I'm still doing that, still trying to get a gig still. And but also we have a connection because I sang at both of your children's weddings. I believe we did Gina's rehearsal dinner, my little group.
You
I
did.
think we did the rehearsal dinner was the one at South Hills Country Club, I believe.
Correct.
I don't
Yes.
think I did Vito's, but I sang at his church part for his wedding. So that was very special. We were all part of a choir. I was on an 8 or 10 voice in church with a full orchestra, which you, of course, conduct. Well, I don't know if you conducted because you were the father of.
Ernie Plum. I think Ernie Plum.
Did Ernie? Okay, he directed. It's a little fuzzy because I forget what year it was, but so I just remember we came into Holy Spirit Church in West Mifflin. I believe this was B. Gina's wedding.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
the choir, came in and somebody said, look under your chair. Under our chair was a beautiful bottle of limoncello that you made, homemade. And we're like, are we allowed to have a sip before the church wedding? I think we sort of went behind the sacristy, behind the altar. I'm not sure. I don't think we actually did. We were kidding around that we were going to do that. Anyway, that was so sweet that you guys did that. And so that's a connection. And then when
that was the favor for the wedding. Every person
got one. Okay.
And Atlanta went through a tedious process to find a glass bottle for the ladies and a glass bottle for the men.
Oh wow. It was
we made like
very memorable. And of course, I think you had told
gallons.
me that the lemons that you use are from Italy, correct?
No, they were.
Maybe that was, I see. So you're like my dad. You always get me, because, he used to tell me when you drive towards Duquesne on Duquesne Homestead Road, it's called Duquesne Homestead Road. When you drive toward Homestead, it's called Homestead Duquesne Road. Depends on which direction. He always had me go. So see, you told me a fib. That's all right. That's okay. But I mean, I tell that story a lot. And so they were lemons from Giant Eagle down the road, probably. Okay. Anyway.
My friend, a close friend, Bruce Bartolotta, the late Bruce Bartolotta.
Right.
I had done one of his daughter's weddings, and did it like a wind ensemble, whatever.
Yeah.
He said, what am I going to do for when your daughter gets married, or your son?
Right.
I said, don't worry about it. We're not keeping score,
Right.
So when he found out we were going to make limoncello, let me get the lemons.
Oh, exactly.
He brought
Well,
up
I
like
think
4
so.
cases of lemon. I mean, we made 40 gallons of limoncello for that wedding. So
Oh man.
he brought all the lemons up. So Bruce, God rest his soul, he was a great guy. But anyhow, that's all.
But that leads me to think about. I didn't realize. I forgot. Maybe you were at least the person who hooked me up for this. But I did the Shop and Save commercial for him.
Yes.
Bartolotta's, Shop and Save.
Yep.
So I remember it vividly. You must have been part of that. I mean, anyway, that was in Charleroi.
In Charlotte, yeah.
Okay.
Well, that was one of their
Wow,
stores.
that's a long time ago.
They had like 11 stores, but that was
Yeah, right. Anyway, so then I believe played piano for your retirement party when you and Bonnie Bishop retired from West Mifflin. I was some of the other staff brought me in as a accompanist for some of the kids that were singing for that event. That was really special as well. And then, of course, my father, who was an architect, he's now deceased, designed your home in South Park.
That's right.
So I think you became friends with Mom and Dad, and that was always really special too. I'm sure when you were planning the home. Now, was that brand new construction, or did you renovate a house?
Brand new.
Brand new. So I remember him designing like it was the wine cellar, and there was going to be something in the backyard, like a gazebo or something. Did you ever have
when he walked into our house the first time to meet with us, he came.
So that would have been West Mifflin House.
Yes,
correct?
That's right. And he came with a blank tablet and a pencil, and he said, "What kind of house do you want to build?" Because I had just bought the land.
Yeah.
And then he designed the entire house. I mean, it was just wonderful to work with too. I mean, we had and it was,
He was such a talent,
yes,
such a talent. And,
was
you know,
our,
the most humble guy you'd ever want to meet, you know?
that's exactly right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we miss him. We miss him terribly. And mom, we miss them both. Yeah. Terribly.
I know.
Yeah. So,
So we had those connections. Now, let me ask you a question. When did you begin studying music, and what was your first instrument?
well, my mom tells the story, had told the story. I was about maybe 3, maybe 4 tops. And she had a player piano that she had brought from when she was a young girl in her parents' home, brought it to the house that I grew up in. And so there's this player piano. They took the rolls out and they had, I don't know how many keys were broken. I mean, it was just, you know, because she played the piano, mom played. So
Okay.
I came along at that very young age and just with fingers like this, you know, and she saw something that she thought I was trying to like plunk out a melody and trying to. So that's the story she used to always tell me. And then I got when I was in 3rd grade, so I didn't really study till about 8. When I was about 8 or 9 because I was in dance. I was very much into ballet and tap and jazz. And then I had an issue with my health, and mom needed to direct my attention away from dance. I wasn't allowed to be physical. So she had started me on piano lessons. That was about age 8. It was Miss Sylvia Ziegler, lived in Duquesne, big old mansion house. She had this beautiful, like 3 pianos in her house. Every time I went there, I felt like I was in heaven because I had all these pianos I could play, you know. So I was with her till probably 9th grade, and then I started at CMU, Carnegie Mellon, on the Saturday pre-college classes from 9th till 12th grade. So had a really nice start as far as, you know, the instrument that I played, but I did not sing a note ever in those years. Yeah, I didn't like singing at all. Yeah, it was horrible.
Okay. So what was your inspiration to actually start into music?
I was thinking about this the other day. You know, how do you try to remember certain things that influence you, you know, and I think my earliest memory of music, or partly, was when we would drive to my aunt's house. We lived in West Mifflin. She's in North Huntington. And Grandpap would be in the back seat with my sister Joyce and I. Grandma and mom and dad are in the front seat. So we would sing songs. We'd sing, "Let Me Call You Sweetheart." You know, "Show Me the Way to Go Home." I mean, all kind of old songs.
Sunshine.
"You're My Sunshine," all of those. And then as we're singing them, you know, mom had a beautiful voice. Dad couldn't carry a note in a bucket, you know. And so we're in the back seat and we're hearing Grandpap's beautiful tenor voice singing harmony with mom. So that, I think a little bit of that started us. And, you know, these influences, you don't even realize how you're being influenced. And of course, my brother played the clarinet. And so my brother Jack, who lives in DC, he played clarinet. And so when it was my turn to do a band instrument, I wanted to learn clarinet. So that was in the house. So that was an influence. And we always had music playing. I think mom liked such a diverse, eclectic array of music. She had Don Ho playing at some points, Trini Lopez, and then, like, you know, Offenbach, classical music, Broadway music, all kinds of music was playing in the house. And I think that also, I think we also had a few trips to Heinz Hall as a family. So all those things really do influence you, I think, as you're growing up. Yeah.
Yeah, family was huge. And I've had a lot of guests on here that it's always gone back to, you know, how they grew up with the family
members. Yeah.
Was involved in music one way or the other, not necessarily professionally, but just music was part of their culture, you know. It's a big part of the culture. Cool. Well, that's great. I have a couple pictures I want to show and we'll talk about. This was when you were graduating, and you were right in front on the far left, right? Yeah,
the left in front. Yeah. That was our picture when we had our graduation at church, St. Peter and Paul in Duquesne. Those are some of the classmates, and actually there's a couple of college graduates. It was like the baccalaureate, I think they used to call that.
Yep.
at church,
Yeah,
So that's, pardon me.
I remember the baccalaureate is the.
I think that's what they would call that.
Yes.
And it was a service, a liturgy that would celebrate the graduates, and we'd have breakfast afterwards and so forth.
Now this next picture, this has you and I are both in this picture.
Oh,
how about that picture? Huh?
Yeah, that's like a totally different person. I don't know if everybody can pick out which one I am, but I'm the second from the left.
Yeah.
And then
let's start with the far left and let's
go ahead. So, want me to?
On the end is Bob Graham, a guy,
Right.
the late Bob Graham. Bob was a musician. He was a music teacher in West Mifflin.
Great bass player. I was actually in a band with him, a quartet at one time. Yeah.
He was music director for the Vogues, and he did a lot of arranging and
Sure.
young, and I remember his mother was taught dance. She was a dancer herself, but she taught.
Okay.
I think my little sister Tina took dance lessons from her early on. And then after Bob Graham is Judi Figel.
Yeah.
With the Stripes.
Yeah, it's like I'm like, Vito, are you serious? Like, I'm going to put this picture on my fridge. I think I told you. Can we go back? Can we please go back to that?
Yeah, really.
I'm probably, I don't know how old they're, 20 something, 22, 23, probably.
You were just out of college.
Yeah, I'm probably just right about 23, probably 22.
Yeah. And so I recruited you for this group. This is a group. This is a vocal group called the South Side Review. And the next person next to you with the strap, with the saxophone strap, is John Orsini.
Right.
And at this time, John was playing saxophone in my band, We3. So John was also, his main job was, he worked for the Department of Parks and Recreation for the city of Pittsburgh.
That's right.
So he said, I can get us a gig.
Right.
For the Three Rivers Regatta.
And I have to give him kudos, because he was I think the first person who actually helped me with mic technique, how to use the microphone, take it away when you're belting and so forth. He was very instrumental in helping me get established with getting the good tone on mic.
And he that's that end of it, because he was a saxophone player, but he was
great singer. Still is great singer.
When he came with We3, it was really the first time we had what you would call a lead singer.
Right.
And so John got us the gig. And so we actually put this group together to do this gig.
Yeah.
And we were like the one hit wonder. We had one gig and that was it.
Short-lived. That's true.
That was the only show that the Southside Review did. We had a 4-piece rhythm section back us up.
Right.
And it was great. It was fun. And now next to John, the young lady with I guess is it red slacks, Lisa Ferraro.
Right. One of my buddies. Yeah.
Another terrific singer. She's going to actually be a guest on the show.
Oh, great.
In the next month or two.
I think you told me that. Yeah. I'll look forward to hearing her and her story. Yeah. Yeah,
for sure. I'm looking forward to it. Then after her is another version of me from a long time ago. I know Lana looked at this one. This picture came up and she saw that. She says, "Oh my God, that's the guy I fell in love with." I said, "Well, it didn't last long." Even though you stayed married with him for like 51 years, I said, unfortunately, you didn't have that guy too long. Next to me was a young lady that was a student of mine, and she was actually babysat our kids and everything. We were pretty good with her. Kathy Hawk was her name, and so she was from West Mifflin, and she was not a music major, but she sang in the chorus there, and she was a good singer. And then
I vaguely remember her. Yes, right.
Yeah. Next to Kathy is Ernie Pontier, and when John left the band, of course, I got Greg Grenick. for and he was with the band for like 30 years. But then
Right.
when Ernie left in town and he went on the road with he went on the road with the Four Coins. He was in Las Vegas, he was in Los Angeles, and he was on the road with Letterman. And he came back to Pittsburgh. I hired him with We Three, and he became our lead singer. But so he was with the band for over 20 years. And then next to Ernie is Debbie DeMola.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know much where she is these days. Like I see Lisa, of course, I see you on Facebook. I see both of you on Facebook a lot.
Right.
You know, of course, Bob's deceased. John, I've lost track of. Ernie's on Facebook, and of course, he's just still great friend.
Was Debbie not sort of like in the Holiday Inn circuit? She sang.
Oh, she did all that. Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
That's kind of like her claim to fame. She sort of was already in the biz, like doing those kinds of gigs back in the day when they would do 6 nights a week. Yeah.
The Holiday Inn circuits, the Marriott circuits, and all that.
Sure. Right.
Debbie sang with a lot of bands in the city and things. Yeah.
And I'm noticing we all have some form of red, white, and blue. We must have been around the 4th of July that we did that.
Yeah,
I just noticed that. Yeah, I didn't realize. I forgot about that. Yeah.
So that was the South Side Review. Then I have this picture, and this is, I recognize a couple people in here, but I'm going to let you tell the story.
These are my buddies. These are my brothers. Kevin Pollock is the first one there with the sax strap on, and he was sort of the leader of the band Starfire. And then there's me, of course, and the guys used to kid me. That's a lot of sequins, Jude.
That's right.
And then next to my left is our elder person in the band, Chuck Stromoski. We always called him Pops because he was the oldest. Wonderful, great crooner, great singer and bass player, and he lives in Jersey to this day. And we're in touch on Facebook. Some Christmas cards, but I don't get to see him, unfortunately. To his left is our brother, Mark Pollock, who's Kevin's true brother, and just passed away a couple years ago, tragically, suddenly. And we miss him terribly. It's heartbreaking. Yeah. But he was the trumpet player and such a ham like you'd never have ever met. Just a wonderful man. And then the far right is Fred Mannion, who is a very good friend of mine still today, and was the guitar player and wonderful singer. He used to sing some of like the Josh Groban stuff in the band. Okay. And between the 5 of us, well, Kevin, he did some backup, but the 4 of us, other than Kevin, did like 4-part harmony on Ooh Baby Baby, and just the harmony was impeccable. And that was something we really rehearsed and got that really down pat. And I was always proud of that band. And there have been so many different personnel changes over the years. You know how bands are when you and then it sort of metamorphosized into more players. And I don't want to say any others because I can't remember them all. There's so many different ones. I don't want to leave anyone out. But that's what this picture, I think, was from New Year's Eve, when we used to play at Duquesne Golf Club. Yeah.
Okay. I have a couple comments. First of all, Kevin Pollock.
Right.
And I look at that picture of him, and of course, he didn't have a mustache then, but when I student taught, I was in my senior year at Duquesne University, so it would have been 1973. I student taught in West Mifflin, and Evan Brown.
Did you? I think I did know that. Yeah.
Broman and Marcy Chapman were my supervising teachers. So Marcy was an elementary teacher, and Evan was, junior high and high school. Well, Kevin was in 9th grade at the time. So he was in Homeville Junior High. He was the first chair clarinetist in the band, in Evan's band. And I remember conducting that band, and of course, Kevin being in the band. He was a freshman.
Yeah. See, I was at Edison Junior High at the same time in 9th grade. That's why I didn't know Kev till we got up to the high school level. Yeah.
Yeah. The high school was 10 through 12. But anyhow, that's the first thing. The second thing is in our area, there were really like four bands that I recall really well. And one was, another teacher in West Mifflin, Ed Hansack,
Right.
had the band, The Seventh Arrangement. Now, you never sang with Ed in
I
his
did. I did sing with him. I believe I also
I
did
thought
play keys for that arrangement. No pun intended.
arrangement.
But
Yeah.
yeah, Ed was on trumpet, and then we had I don't recall exactly. There was drums and maybe bass, and I believe I played piano, keyboard, and I had an old Fender Rhodes suitcase piano, like the kind that you have to put on a
Yeah.
dolly. In fact, my dad, my father is such a beautiful heart, built this cart out of his old 2x4s in the garage, and it wasn't even painted or sanded or anything. Very rustic, but it was great.
Keyboard.
And we put that thing on, and we called it Hello Dolly. That was the name of the piano dolly. Oh, anyway. So, but it's just things you remember.
I remember, of course, Ed with the Seventh Arrangement.
Yeah.
And then Starfire.
Yeah.
My group, we three. And of course, the Fennis name, because there were Teresa Fennis and there were a lot of students, but the fathers, there was Steve Fennis and Andy Fennis. I'd like to talk to Steve, and I stay in touch. And they had a polka band. They had a true polka band,
Right.
That's what
Yeah.
they did.
Oh, yeah.
And they traveled all over, Ohio was a big polka area and whatever. But I knew of every weekend, all of these bands were out working every Friday, Saturday, Sunday,
Right.
every Friday. It's
Right.
the way it was. And the other thing I remember with Ed's band, when we were in high school, we met because the two marching bands from South and North got together
Right.
occasionally. And I met him. And when I met him, because of his ethnic background, he knew like the chart ushers, the polkas.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Sure.
All that. And Oberek, who was like a waltz, like a 3/4
Yeah.
time.
I'm
And of
familiar.
course, I
Yeah.
the Italian music.
I'm
So
Slovak, so believe me, I get it. Yeah.
yeah, so we exchanged music. I gave him a lot of Italian stuff, and he gave me all that. And it was a great thing to have that. And we were the same age basically, and that was
Yeah.
it. And that's.
Sure.
But our groups all thrived at that time. It was really a great time. I don't think that exists anymore today.
Well, the thing with Starfire, though, in particular, did not perform. I don't think we ever did a public gig. We always did private stuff,
That's
country
what we
club, wedding, fire hall weddings and stuff like that. We never played in the public at that time.
Until
And
the late 80s, we three was just completely private.
you same for you. Is that correct?
Yeah,
You mostly
And then we
private.
started doing some of the Italian festivals, which was good, but
Right.
we were all private. We did all private parties. In fact, to the point when I think it was 1995, it was the 30th anniversary of our group. We put on a public dance that Lana arranged the whole thing, and we put this dance on. We had like 450 people come, and when it was over, they said, "Vito, when's the next one?" I said, "What next one?" I said, "It's just like we ended
I
up."
think I'm pretty sure
15 years doing 4 or 5 dinner dances a year. And
one of those dinner dances. Yeah, one of those. I believe you asked me to come and sit in as a guest singer.
Yeah.
I did. I don't know, maybe, not the whole night, because I think John or
You come in and do a spot,
I probably did like 2, 3 or 4, maybe.
songs,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I did
those were
that
great
once.
events. And I remember, was it Broughton Fire Hall?
Yeah. And we did like 4 or 5 a year for 15 years.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
and for the specific reason, because people like to dance to our band, and there was no place to do it because we were always playing weddings and private events at country.
Exactly. That was right. Exactly. So
yeah. So anyhow, so that was a great era, and so music, we get into it, and then it becomes a passion. What would you say that when music became your passion?
It's hard to say exactly when. But I mean, I always loved it from moment one, even though I was so terrified to do that first public gig. But I always loved it, you know. But I think it was when I was like going into ninth, 10th grade when I got serious about wanting to be a music teacher.
Okay.
And yeah, and I think that's about when and then of course, I still didn't really sing, but I had the piano skill and, you know, being a music teacher in any level, I think the basic background of having piano skills just permeates to all with your instrumental or vocal, all the, it's a percussion instrument as well. So it's all encompassing for whatever area you go to, you know, because later in my career, you know, I started out in vocal K to 6 teaching. And then later on, I went into like high school band, assistant band director, and because that's where the job went. And then most of my career, I ended with elementary strings. So you just never know where you're going to, you know, where you're going to end up. Yeah.
Well, I have one question.
Yeah.
So you mentioned early on that you studied with this Sylvia Ziegler.
Right.
Is that who you were studying with when you were in high school too? All the way through high school?
Well, I think I mentioned earlier, I started with her about 3rd grade and then up to 9th.
Okay.
And then she's the one who said to my parents and myself that she couldn't really give me any more, that I was above what she felt she could. Right. So she's the one, I think, who suggested going to CMU for the pre-college level classes, which started in 9th through 12th. And that's when I studied with Bobby Cardillo, who's a wonderful, he's deceased now, but he was a wonderful jazz guy. In fact, he's the one who suggested I go to Oberlin. He helped me get the audition at Oberlin and reference letter and so forth. And I attribute that to him. Yeah.
I see.
He
So
was with me in high school. Yeah.
You when the Chopin repertoire and things like you were doing?
Yes, because, you know, you had to, especially for preparing for an audition, as you probably know, and I'm going in as a piano major, you had to have a piece from the classical era, from the romantic era, you know, a contemporary piece. I don't think I really played a lot of jazz with him, although I wanted to. He was training me more to be a more traditional pianist. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But later on, I started reading changes and, you know, did that on my own. I didn't really have a teacher for that, but I just do a lot of listening and you know, I played with the West Hills. You recently just had on Clem Rowland, who was with West Hills Symphony, but the jazz band, I played piano for them. Okay. And they had charts, and I was learning like a lot of like how to read the symbols, and you know, I mean,
Sure.
there's no physical notes on the page. It's G minor 7, B flat 9. You know, what's a 9? You know, so that was a lot of self teaching at that point.
All of those experiences really go together to making, you know, the path of where.
Well, you know, it's unfortunate that you have to. It takes your whole kind of lifetime. Like I feel like now is when I'm peaking, you know, and I would have liked to have peaked when I was 25, but you can't. You're still gathering that experience and the confidence to go do what I do now, you know, and but it develops over time if you want it to. And I wanted it to, so I did. I worked on it, and it's like watching a little baby grow up. You know, you develop this thing and nurture it. Yeah.
Good analogy. So we're going to talk now about some of the highlights in your career. Yeah. And I have a picture. This picture I'm going to show you here. You tell me who this is.
That is Daniel May, a lovely, talented pianist, more of a jazz flavored pianist, very technical and really great interpreter and arranger. Okay. And that picture is in the hotel. I always forget the name of it. What is the name of this hotel? It's horrible that I don't remember this. It's downtown Pittsburgh. It's still there. They don't do the jazz anymore, but it's the Fairmont. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh,
But it's a 5-star. So, one time I was there and I'm singing in the lobby with Daniel, and I think there was a bass player and drummer. I look over and there's sitting on the couch is Patti LaBelle, like the Patti LaBelle. So I'm like, oh my gosh, what do I do? I'm not going to let this opportunity go by. I went over to her and I'm standing behind her and she's with a bunch of folks, probably her family or something. And I go, I got a new attitude. And she looked around at me and her eyes just bugged out. And she gave me the biggest hug. She was so adorable. But, that's where like a lot of the stars stayed. I remember the guys from, I think it was Aerosmith, walked through one time. They were in town doing a show probably. And, all these famous people would walk through, and here I am trying to sing my couple little tunes, So that was quite a great experience.
Great story. Yeah.
Yeah.
That took a little courage to do that, huh?
Yeah. Well, again, this was later on. I mean, I'm probably in my 40s in this picture, maybe even 50. So, you're not 25 anymore. You do gather that experience.
Yeah.
And all of those things together bring you into the person that makes you who you are in your performing. And it's like molding a sculpture,
So I have a little video I'm going to play. It actually has 2 songs in it. The one is the prayer you're singing with some, and then the crossword puzzle. So I don't know if you want to give a commentary before we start.
Right. Well, this was an event that we were hired to do as a fundraiser for breast cancer in Pittsburgh, and it was called Hot Pink Pittsburgh. And Daniel is the pianist. And there was, like you mentioned earlier, like the backing quartet. There was a bass player, Paul Thompson. The drummer, I believe, was George Hyde III. All these guys are like top notch. And I believe, I don't think I sent you this one. It's on the Send in the Clowns. I don't think I sent you that one. Okay. But it's Mike Tamaro, great sax player, who's at Duquesne U. He was a prof. I think he just retired. So yes. Mike was playing soprano sax, I believe, on one of the tunes. But the ones I sent you, I believe it's myself and Daniel on piano, and then Dane Van Adder was the duet partner that I did the prayer. And then the second one, if it goes back to back, the second one, the crossword puzzle song, it's from a show called Starting Here, Starting Now. It's just myself playing and singing.
Yeah. Okay, let me play this and share it with the audience.
Sure.
Okay.
Let this be our prayer.
Let this be our prayer.
Just like every child.
Just like every child.
Needs to find a place. Guide us with your grace. Give us faith so we'll be saved. And authentic hide our chance of noise. Sento che ci sta.
Very nice.
Thank you. This is a fun little whimsical.
This is a music review.
That's a new G and U. Boop-a-doo. Where is Hecky now? Ha! He ran off with some bluesy on a boat on for warmer climes. And he left me here doing the crossword puzzle in the Sunday. All the times we had fun here, when more often than not he'd say, "Hon, what's it cost you?" And I'd say, "Sublime."
And there you have it. That's an interesting piece of
That
music.
song is so clever. I mean, all the lyrics, you have to check it out sometime. It is really very clever and fun. And, you know, her lover goes off with somebody else and she's, you know, trying to say, oh, well, I'm a Phi Beta Kappa and I'm wonderful. And meanwhile, she's heartbroken because her man left her, you know, so
Right.
anyway.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So let me show this photo here. Judi Figel and friends, I think.
Yeah. So as we go into, you know, a little bit later years, some of the, like, I don't know if you were going to get to this or not. We were talking about the highlights of some of the things that I've
Going to talk about that. Sure.
we talk about that a little bit, but this is from Renzi Park. And, you know, growing up in West Mifflin, McKeesport is so close. In fact, I was born in McKeesport Hospital, but to be able to then come back and perform at Renzi was like a thrill for me, because it was like we went as children. We went to go to that park, and then now I'm on this big stage in front of, you know, 500 people, maybe 800, and it was and I did that for probably 10 years straight. And different guys throughout the years did it with me. The guy that I work with now, David Chrissy, was later in those years. But the guys in the picture, the first one on the left, that's the great sax player, Robbie Klein, who I still work with occasionally. Yeah. Then Mark Strickland is kind of behind me on my right shoulder there. Mark is a wonderful guitarist, guitar player on the gig. And then behind me on the left is Mike Houlis, who's a great bass player. And then Alan Muckle is the drummer off to my left.
I know his cousin Richie Muckle.
Yeah, that's his cousin. Yes. And just would put these groups together, Judi Figel and friends. And, you know, and we would do an eclectic array of 2 hours of program. And yeah, so.
Real quick, speaking of Robbie Klein and seeing him there, reminds me of another connection that we had when my group, we three played for many, many years for my fraternity, Alpha Phi Delta.
That's right.
We had every year we had a big alumni dinner dance and whatever. And it was always at a hotel and whatever. And we played for it. Well, then when I took off and headed out on the road and things changed for my group, I recommended them hire you. And I remember one time then, maybe not the first year you were there, but the second, I think, Lana and I came as guests.
Right.
And you had Robbie Klein playing with you then at that time. And then we were there as guests just to hear the band. You know, we were at the event. But I remember you had him.
I appreciated that. By the way, did you get that check I sent you? You know,
still in the mail.
No, we probably did that gig probably 5 years after that, and then I don't know if they still have live music now. You know, last time we played, it was at Duquesne U, because they were having it at I believe it's at the big Marriott by the airport, the pink.
Yeah.
I think it was a Marriott. I don't know what it is now. Anyway.
That's
so
right.
Yeah. And anyway, things change. They went a different direction. I don't know who they even have now.
Myself, because I have not really been in touch with the much, you know.
Yeah.
I have another video I want to show, and this is from CJ's in the Strip District of Pittsburgh. Yeah. And this is interesting. The guy, what's the guy who plays saxophone? Is Tony
Campbell.
Tony
and
Campbell.
A nice friend of mine, and on drums is Javon Rushton. And Tony used to play. Now, this place is no longer open in Pittsburgh, but it was in the Strip, and it was a great place for all kinds of jazz. If you were a soul player, R&B, straight ahead jazz, like all the genres within the umbrella of jazz. Okay. And very well attended. And when Tony did this gig that you're going to hear now, he would have a featured guest each week.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And I was the guest that particular week. And so someone it's an amateur video, but you get the gist, I think. Yeah, but I love these guys playing with them. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I got the part where at the beginning where he's introducing. It's cute. It's nice.
My favorite, honestly, goodness, one of my favorite singers. I mean, I love to be here with her, the one and only Judi Figel. My nephew Javon resting on drums, yours too, Tony Campbell. So, without any further ado, we're going to board the Judi bus. So, you're all invited, so we're going to ride.
How about it for Tony Campbell, huh? So we're just gonna like mellow it out a little bit, and then we'll get into it a little bit later.
Hey, Bob, excuse me.
The very thought of you and I forget to do the little ordinary things that everyone ought to do. I'm living in a kind of daydream. I'm happy as a king, and foolish though it may seem to me, that's everything. The mere idea of you, the longing here for you. You'll never know how slow the moments go till I'm near to you. I see your face in every flower. Your eyes and stars alone. It's just the thought of you, the very thought of you, my love.
And there you have it. How about that, huh?
Yeah, that's not Chopin.
That's a far cry from Joe. But you did it
Well,
all.
that's what I was trying to tell you. You know, I didn't play like that when I was in high school. I could not play chords like that and you know, try to improvise a little bit. I mean, I'm not a great improviser, but I try. But you know, it's like you just have to do it. You have to give yourself that chance to try. And so I grew a little bit as a I wouldn't call myself a jazz pianist, but I tried very hard to become a little bit more of the flavor.
I think
Yeah.
you did very well.
Thank you. Thank you, my friend. Very kind of you. Thank you.
I really, I enjoyed that myself. I just wish I had a glass of scotch right here. And
Yeah,
I
right.
could just sit with you.
Yeah, I have my coffee, and you know that's as well. That's
water.
about it. Where we
I'm
go.
out of water these days, you know.
Yeah,
That's a
I
shame.
gotcha.
but it
I
was
gotcha,
really-
my friend.
So I know that you spent a lot of winters in Florida, near Sarasota area and so forth. And I have this little picture. It's hard to read because it's a little bit small, but
Right.
tell just a little bit about the experience and why you.
Yeah.
went
So
back.
when I was I retired in 2014
Okay.
from teaching, but with the idea that I was going to flip flop careers and become more of a performer at that, because it was just time. You know, I was ready to move on and do something else. And it was a time that I could do an early retirement. So I did. And so it turned out to be a great decision, because then I was able to do what I really wanted to do, was to go down to Florida and perform and just challenge myself to get some gigs down there, which I did do for about 8 years. I did like a mini snowbird kind of thing. This, it's hard to see the picture, but it's a clipping of a concert that would be done every Friday in the Sarasota area. And it was this particular Friday was called the Unheard Herd. And the guy that put it together, I think he's in the picture there on the top left, is Al Hickson, a great drummer. And this gentleman just really embraced those of us that came in from out of state, that we weren't from that area. And we would come in, in the winter, try to get some gigs. We played with him. He played with me a couple times on some stuff. So he wanted to feature us and let us be heard. So it was called the Unheard Herd. So that was a great thrill for me to be part of that. And yeah, each Friday they would have a different artist, and that was our time to do that.
Good,
yeah.
good.
Great experience. Yeah.
So before we get on to some of these, moments in your career, we have a few more and things and a couple pictures and things. Just a question about, we all had roadblocks in our career. We all had, bumps in the road, as they say,
right. Sure.
To get over. What was the most amplified one for you, I guess?
I would probably say when COVID hit, because it affected so much of everybody's business, including ours in particular, because we couldn't go and play music, and then the restaurants, everything shut down. And it's funny because I have a prop. Hang on.
Oh, props. Good.
So I'm doing a gig at this place called the Terrace at the Surf Shack down in Sarasota. So I bring one of these, and this was just when COVID hit. This was by March of 2020. And I put this on the piano, and I said to everybody, okay, everybody, $5 a sheet, 2 for $8. Well, they just cracked up. You can have a sheet of one of these, and you can, because we didn't know what we were facing when that all hit. But that was the last gig that I did there. And of course, my brother Jack, who I mentioned earlier, had said, he called me up. He's, Jude, I know I had like 2 more weeks on my house rental until April. And he said, Jude, get on a plane, get out of there, go home. You gotta be home. We don't know what we're facing. Scared the heck out of me, of course, but none of us knew what we were really facing when the pandemic hit. So that put a damper. Of course, for months and months, we didn't work. We didn't have any kind of gigs in any restaurant. We couldn't, we were shut down for what, 2 years, something like that.
I was in Las Vegas with the Sicilian Tenors, which, by the way, they're going to be my guest next week.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Tenors. We were performing there, and we were doing one-offs, but we were scheduled. This was in March of 2020, and we were scheduled May and half of June, 6-week run at the Tuscany. And I thought to myself, because I'm telling Lana, if once these guys hit Vegas, I said they're gonna be a big hit there, and we're gonna end up going to Vegas a lot. I said I wouldn't be surprised if we end up buying a condo there and having a place to,
Oh, that'd be pretty cool. Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if I end my career there. Well, guess what? COVID shot that whole thing to heck.
Right. Sure.
Gone. Yeah. So I did the same thing. I flew back to Florida, and then, we're looking at, I said, look, it's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo. We were in Naples. I said, let's go back to Pittsburgh. I have a whole house.
You still had your South Park house at that point, correct?
Yeah. I have my studio. I have, nice back porch to sit on. I said, I have my wine cellar, my man cave,
Yeah,
so,
I hear you.
So we did the same thing. Now we got on a plane and we headed back to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we that's when I wrote
Of course,
symphony.
you know, then I'm thinking, okay, why do I want to be here when I could be in like paradise? And you know, and they really didn't shut down as much as like Pennsylvania did.
No, not
The
near.
Florida opened up much earlier than you know we did, of course, you know,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
whatever reason. But anyway, it is what it is, and we made it work, and we got through it, and we came out on the other side okay, you know. And I mean, I had COVID twice. I contracted it. Now the first time I had it was a bad one, and I had been vaxxed, so you know it was nasty. Then the
Yeah.
second time I had it, it was mild, you know. But
Mm.
yeah, so we're still in it. I think we have to still keep watching and being careful. And I still try to, you know, when I meet people, I try to fist bump instead of the handshake. You know, I don't always remember to do that, but I think it's still there's something in the air still, you know.
When you see me, it was always a hug and a kiss.
Yeah, right.
You gonna fist bump me?
Where's Lana? Let's bleep this one out. No, I'm kidding.
She's not far, believe me.
She loves me. She goes, just go ahead, take him, go give him a kiss. No. Hey, you know, we go back such a long way, and it's like you guys are like my brother and sister. It's really that special. Very cool.
Thank you. We feel the same way.
Speaking of sisters, I did want to mention before we forget. I did want to talk about real quick, because you know, through the years, you know, different bands and different situations I've been in. I don't have a picture of it, but my sister Joyce Sabo and I put together the Figel Sisters, and we did some gigs at the Baltimore House there in Pleasant Hills, and that was and you may remember, of course, he's now deceased. The great drummer Nick Giuliano would come out and play. And
I mean, he was like a very close friend.
Very good friend of yours, I thought. Yeah, and he was a wine guy too. Didn't he make wine?
His father is the guy that taught me how to make wine.
Okay. So there's another connection. I know.
I called him Uncle Pete. Yeah.
Yeah. And but I did want to mention her because she, you know, she has a beautiful singing voice. And when we'd harmonize together, it's like, you know, the Everly Brothers. You know, it's like anytime you can harmonize with family, it's really wonderful. And I didn't want any time to go by without mentioning that. And even years before that, I mean, we're talking. I was just out of college. Well, probably like 10 or 12 years out of college. I went to Oberlin, which is kind of near Sandusky, Ohio. So, you know, where all the wineries are and, you know,
Sure.
And there was a guy that I worked for at the Rathskeller at Oberlin on the campus. I did like inventory and for him and so forth. And he had a place on Zeller's Beach, which is like across from the wineries in Sandusky. So one summer, the Figel Sisters made an appearance at Zeller's Beach, and we had just, you talk about, you know, the bad stuff. That was a good one. That was a good story. And I couldn't even tell you all the stories because they're R-rated. No kidding. We just had a ball. It was always so much fun. So we still sing together, but you know, sometimes whenever we can.
How about the time that you won a karaoke contest? I like that.
Yeah, a couple over the years. There was one of them was memorable. Was I believe it was in Monroe. I'm thinking about the chronological order. This one was in Monroeville at the Holiday Inn, and you know, I used to go to learn repertoire. I'm very, very supportive of karaoke. I still have very good friends who are karaoke DJs. And as a live musician, you know, they always say, well, that takes away from your business. I don't see it that way. It helped me a lot to get my repertoire. I learned a lot of repertoire that way. So anyway, the one that I was in, the trip was the Atlantis Merv Griffin Paradise Island Resort, whatever it was called.
That was the prize.
The prize, correct. And I won. But you had to pay for your own flight. I got the hotel, but I didn't get the flight. And it was like, I don't know, $600 or $700, and that was back in that day. I couldn't afford it, so I didn't go on the trip. I won the trip. I didn't get to go on the trip. Then there was another one I did. I think it was through 3WS, and I won in Pittsburgh regionally, and then or locally, and then we went on to Columbus to compete, and I didn't continue. Then that was where that was.
Which picture? This picture here was one of those.
No,
right?
that was the one I'm getting to. So
Okay.
this was later on. Those were early in the probably late 80s, early 90s. This one was probably around 2000. And this is a very nice friend of mine, Gina Rendina. I'm not going to say it correctly. I'm going to. She just got married and had her baby. Like she's just. Haven't been in her company since she's been married. But Capera. I hope I'm saying that correctly if she's watching. Capera, and she now has a little baby, adorable little baby. We're on Facebook, but we don't see each other. But we became friends through this particular event. It was actually a fundraiser for cancer research at Allegheny General Hospital, and there were 30 women involved, and you paid a fee to be part of this, and all that money went to the research. I think it was 100 piece, and all that money went to cancer research. But I won the first place, and she came in second place. So,
nice.
but when you're competing, but she was so sweet, and we got along so well. I was so happy because when women compete, it gets a little fuzzy, But she was never like that. She was so gracious. She still is gracious and lovely. And so anyway.
It reminds me, when I was teaching high school, the girls fought more than the guys.
Yeah. And I try not to be part of that. I want to support every, there's a lot of great singers, men and women in Pittsburgh. I support all of them. I like Miss Freddie. I don't know if you're familiar with some of the local, because you're in Florida now, but she's a blues singer. Great. She's so supportive and so lovely. And we're good buddies. And, I'm friends with a lot of the singers. And if they don't want to be, that's their choice. Maybe they feel like, we get too close. Like, I'm wondering, did you ever work with Sheena Berkeley? Did you know that name?
No.
She's another great singer. Nice person, lovely person. We get along well. And Lisa Ferraro, speaking of Lisa from earlier in our conversation, and I did a gig at the West Hills Jazz Ensemble. I think I mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And we sort of shared the program. She did some tunes. I did some with the jazz, probably a 20-piece jazz. And, the conductor of that was Ernie's brother, Rusty Pontier.
Yeah.
Rusty directed, I don't know if you ever knew that, and the West Hills Jazz Ensemble, which was an outgrowth of the symphony band. So
right.
Anyway, I try not to get involved in the pettiness of the female competition. There's room for everybody, in my opinion.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, everybody has a gift to offer.
I remember too, you told me that you had auditioned for The Voice.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
You talk about, it's not a bad experience, but I, of course, didn't make it. But my good friend, very dear friend of mine named Joni Lilly. Joni is a karaoke DJ. And we decide we're going to try for The Voice. Because there was no age limit. Because with American Idol, you had to be under, I think, 30 or something like that. I was probably pushing 50. And there was no age limit. So we said, okay, we're going to take a trip to New York. It was in New York. We had to go there at the Javits Convention Center. I don't know if you're familiar. It's in Manhattan. And
Sounds right.
we made a weekend of it. And so we came up on a Friday. We flew up, and we had got tickets to see Wicked on Broadway. Well, it's a little slightly off Broadway at that point, at the Schubert Theater. And so Friday night we get there. Of course, went out to dinner, partied a little bit. Saturday, I believe it was a matinee that we went to see Wicked, because the auditions were on Sunday.
Oh.
So we thought, what are we going to do till Sunday? Okay, so then we go to Wicked. We come out of the theater. It was lovely, by the way. And we come out of the theater. Across the street, there's this bar and it says karaoke. We're like, that's us. We're going, So that we made, a great weekend of it. And then Sunday came and they started at noon. We did not get to be seen by this one woman at a computer until 8 o'clock at night.
Oh my goodness.
There was like, they said there were like 20,000 people, not enough 20,000, maybe 10,000 people there. And come on, not 10,000 people can't be at that level, right? Yeah. They think they're at that level, So we came, they brought 10 of us in at a time, like sort of like cattle, they bring you in the room and everybody gets like a 30-second, you sing a cappella. There's no background track. There's nothing, just, I sang at last. It's the best I think I could have ever sung it. I was happy with what I did and I'm my worst critic and didn't make it. We didn't even move on to the next level, but nobody did in that group. And everybody was amazing singers.
Wow.
So we felt like by the time 8 o'clock came, they picked all their people. It was already a done deal. So it was a disappointment, but we made a great weekend out of it. So
it's a good story and a reality story too.
Right. Yes. Correct. Yeah.
Okay, Judi. Yeah, this has been fun and it's been great having you on. I have one more video that I want to show, and it's actually, you just mentioned singing at last, and you're singing at last on this. It's your new recording that you're working on.
Yeah.
And then I did a montage of a lot of pictures that you had sent me. So I'd like to show this before we run out of time here. I'm gonna call this up here.
I found a dream that I could speak to, a dream that I can call my own. I found the thrill to press my cheek to, a thrill that I never known. You smile, and then the spell was cast, and here we are in heaven. In heaven, you are mine.
Great. That's great, Judi.
Thank you.
Fabulous.
I wanted to mention the piano player on that was the late Chris Pangikas, wonderful talent. I don't know if you were going to mention that or not, but thought I had told you he was the piano player on that.
I knew him a little. I didn't know him very, very well, but I did meet him a couple times.
But, we did that in his home studio in his basement, and he had it all, of course, treated acoustically, but all the parts were done on a keyboard. We didn't have live drums or anything. Yeah. And I think, again, just because we were sort of, strapped for money and, you can't afford to pay all these guys, so unfortunately.
And the technology is really good these days. I mean,
Yeah.
it really is,
Yeah. Like you hear like the hi-hat at the end there. I mean, that's all done on the board. That's not on a real guy. That's, it's not bad. For being, digitally produced, so.
Yeah, I understand.
Great talent. And he's now deceased. So.
Yeah.
And that's partially why we haven't finished that CD because, he died before I could finish doing the production and some of the files are lost. And it's talk about a sad story, but there's always another producer I can maybe hook up with and try to do some recording, but yeah.
I hope you get it done because
thank you, my friend. I really appreciate it.
You need to get it done.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before I'm, in my wheelchair and saying, Sonny, will you help me cross the street, please?
That's right.
I don't think I'm there yet. So I still have a couple more minutes to get
Good.
something done.
Good. Enjoy it. Keep playing. Keep singing.
Gonna keep doing my thing. Yeah.
Keep doing your thing. That's right. That's right. It's great to see you and spend this time with you, Judi.
Thank you, Vito. And I want to wish you well with your series. It's been wonderful to see all of your friends and your colleagues who have come on and been with you, and you're going to continue this series. I think it's wonderful to hear everyone's story and interesting about, and you have such a diverse group of people. So I've been appreciating it, and I appreciate being here today. I really do appreciate that.
Well, thank you. And you have a great evening, Jude.
All right, my dear. Love you guys. Good night.
Love you too. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye. And there you go. Another edition of what I'm going to do is I'm going to play. This is another recording of Judi's.
Day and night,
Night Day.
why is it so?
I'll just play in the background here so I sign off. I want to thank Judi. She's a really, really talented young lady. Next week, as we look forward, we're going to feature the Sicilian tenors. And these are guys, three tenors, three of them, all Sicilians too. No, all their parents and grandparents, whatever, were all born in Sicily. But I was their music director and accompanist for probably 7 years, 6 or 7 years, and toured all over the United States with them, and had a great time. They're wonderful, wonderful guys, and which is really the reason I did this, because I was ready to sign off from doing all this work, and I got on board with them, and they are just so nice that I just said, I did it as long till I couldn't really do it anymore, So that's where that is, and they're going to be our guests next week, and I look forward to you coming back, and we'll do this again next week, and we have several weeks lined up, and so really a lot of great guests coming in. So thank you for joining once again. Thank you for joining me today on Memories of a Musician. Catch up.